timeout that he would have lost if he hadn't used it then was Elvis Costello.
We had 2 free ones that you lose under the 3-minute mark, and we just came across and just decided to give those guys a rest.
Okay, Elvis Costello now calls himself Nick Nurse. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson were the ones who benefited from the rest. The 3 from him, and then the one from Thompson. Warriors 106-105. Some reaction.
Nick Nurse is the reason the Raptors lost last night. And I have a lot of respect for Nick Nurse and the job that he's done. It's not an indictment against his coaching ability. It's just that last night I found myself at the end of the game looking at him. With 3:05 left, decides to call a timeout and disrupts Kawhi Leonard and the offense.
I had no problem with the timeout. Kawhi looked gassed. He looked gassed. And I think that it was really, he was giving them a play out of a timeout. But I think anybody who thinks that timeout was bad, they don't know anything about basketball.
You can't call timeout right there. You get a Golden State Warriors a chance to go to the huddle with a championship pedigree. They regroup, then they're back feeling good about themselves. And then late in the game, you have the basketball. Kawhi's up top. That's when you need the timeout.
So it's unanimous on In Search of Lost Time outs. We go back to Oracle. Game 6 Thursday night. Raptors try to take their first title. Take 2, or the Warriors can set up arguably the greatest comeback in finals history. Our coverage starts. Well, it's already started. Officially, it starts with NBA Countdown at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific on ABC and the ESPN app. And now the only person you have not heard from on this, someone with his own injury history anyway, Eldrick T. Woods.
We're competitors, you know. As athletes, our job is to make the human body do something it was never meant to do, and to do it efficiently and better than anyone else who's doing it at the same time. Well, things sometimes go awry, and we saw it last night with Kevin.
Well, last night began with the unknown surrounding Kevin Durant's availability for one game, and then ended with the unknown surrounding KD's availability for the future. In between, we were amazed, then shocked, then disappointed, and then speechless. This was supposed to be the summer of KD. Now the aftermath features questions no one seemed to consider 24 hours ago. The last time we saw Kevin Durant walk off the court for the final time in a season without a championship, he watched the Warriors celebrate, and the fallout changed the landscape of the NBA. It was the summer of 2016, and weeks after ending his run in Oklahoma City, the Warriors recruited KD to help rebuild their dynasty. Whether they were the Hampton Five or the Death lineup, Durant's commitment to Golden State was felt everywhere, especially on the biggest stage when he won 2 Finals MVPs in his first 2 seasons in Oakland.
The back-to-back NBA Finals MVP, Kevin Durant.
Yet, when some questioned his role in the offense in the first round of this postseason, KD didn't hold back on sending a message to everyone, including Clippers guard Patrick Beverley, with the series tied at 1.
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Durant responded by averaging 42 points in the next 4 games, including 50 in the series clincher. Then in round 2 against the Rockets, after averaging 45 minutes per game, this happened in Game 5.
Kevin Durant laces one through. And he's hurt. He is holding on to his right Achilles.
A calf strain brought up questions about a timetable on when Durant could return, while the Splash Brothers took over for the rest of the series and then swept the Blazers. It also brought up a sensitive topic with Durant's role in the dynasty.
Most definitely. I mean, it's been that way since I got here. It's the Warriors and KD, you know what I'm saying? And I understand that. And I felt like my teammates and the organization know exactly what I've done here on and off the court to become a part of this culture, to kind of stand my flag in this, in this coach and this organization.
But after KD's Achilles injury on Monday night in Game 5 of the NBA Finals, no one can question his impact on the Warriors for the last 3 years. Now, with uncertainty surrounding his health, the question becomes which team will commit to Kevin Durant this summer, with a free agency decision looming that could once again change the landscape of the league.
So when Kevin Durant went down last night, I thought of Dave Dravecky, and if that name doesn't mean anything to you, I'll explain it in a minute. But Michael Wilbon joins us now from Chicago. Who did you think of, and what did you think of at that moment?
Wow, Dave Dravecky. I'm old enough, Keith. We're about the same age, so that's a really tight one and a good one. You know what? I don't know that I thought of anybody. I just thought this is sort of a doom scenario. And relatively speaking, because Kevin Durant is not going to stop playing. He's going to stop playing for about a year. But when he went back down like that, it was almost the same motion that the first injury produced. And so now you're like, okay, what does this mean? I went immediately to what it means. What does it mean for the Knicks and the Nets? You know, and maybe the Clippers and teams that were counting on having a real shot at Kevin Durant. And what does it mean for the Warriors who thought they might be losing him but might not lose him? Do you go to a new sort of medical team where you're going to be out for a year and rehab this rehabilitation under people you don't know and aren't intimately familiar with, taking care of you? So my mind immediately went to this is going to have a sort of a tidal wave effect on several teams and a big ripple throughout the NBA.
And it'll go on for months, as you suggest. And to explain, Dave Dravecky was the Giants pitcher, came back. They had removed a cancerous growth in his pitching arm, his left arm. He pitched a great game. They made a second start, and in the sixth inning, the humerus bone in the arm shattered, and he screamed in agony, and he never pitched again. Lost the
I was
arm.
At the great game start, Keith. I was at the good one. Didn't have to endure watching the second one.
And one of the great people in baseball, too. All right, and anyway, back to this. Who is more worried going into Game 6, do you think? Golden State because he is gone, or Toronto because even though he is gone, they could not beat them last night?
I think it's Golden State. Even though, Keith, I am not going to go and bet that the Warriors are going to lose 3 consecutive games, which would be, in this case, all 3 games in one playoff series. It's tough for me to see that, even though I've sat there and watched them lose, games 3 and 4. I think that the Warriors are still the team that, are facing elimination here. But, I think they still have to find a way now, knowing that Kevin Durant is not going to come back. And as someone pointed out after last night's game, those 11 points in 12 minutes that he produced, they needed every one of those 11 points to win that game by 1. So I think it's still the Warriors.
All right, last point. Lost in all the drama last night when the coach Nurse gets the Raptors on the court. Is he going to remind them that they do not have to take a shot the moment they get the ball?
I guess they don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And it's a weird. Keith, there was so many bizarre things that you could bring up as like secondary points that would be your primary point any other day, except the Kevin Durant injury obscured almost everything else, including the final score. But I mean, some of these shots. I mean, you look when you're in Toronto and you've got a lead. Why do you wind up having 3-point heaves when you've got the lead and some momentum and an advantage at home? But there are a lot of things unexplained last night. Best left just alone.
Sorry, we will. Sorry to call that timeout in the middle of your answer. Oh, that's another topic. PTI's Michael Wilbon. As always, my pleasure, Michael. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith.
23 teams kicking off mandatory minicamps today, including 11 of the 12 playoff teams from a year ago, with the only exception being the defending Super Bowl champion Patriots, who had OTAs canceled this week by the good man, Bill Belichick. Kyler Murray has certainly made an impression with his Cardinals teammates so far this season. Future Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald, who has caught balls from 18 different quarterbacks in his career, recently said that the number 1 pick in the draft knows the system better than we do. Kyler making a smooth adjustment with Cliff Kingsbury.
The windows are a lot tighter. Guys are a lot smarter. They know what you're doing before you even do it. You say hut, they already know what you're looking for. So it's fun. It's kind of a mind game, but it's fun. It's a lot of competition, and it's everything I thought it would be.
I like his attitude because he's gonna take chances, and this is the time to do it. See what you can get away with. If you want to go after Pat a couple times, it's usually all it takes to learn. But no, he's aggressive in nature, the way he thinks and attacks when he's out on the football field, and I like that.
Load management seems to be the hot phrase in the NBA. You could see it in the NFL with the Rams and Todd Gurley, the 24-year-old running back at Rams minicamp, but not on the field, taking part in practice as concerns about his knee continue.
I'm fine. I'm training. I'm doing what I'm doing in the off season, what I've always done up to this point. So it's just part of getting ready for, training camp and the season. I feel like everything's been going great. Stay in touch with Coach and Reggie and the strength staff, and still see my teammates. So everything's been going well.
Drafted in 2015, Gurley's been a monster in the Rams' running game. No surprise the team rewarded him with the most guaranteed money ever for a running back ahead of last season. And then the questions and concerns late last season. That contract and Gurley's future not looking so bright, with those cues about his knee still lingering even after the season. Talking about Kevin Durant earlier in the show, but what about Tiger's thoughts on the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach this week? That's ahead, KO.
Yeah, but never mind all the golf and the hoops and the baseball and the soccer. It's football season again. NFL minicamp week, Kevin. 23 more teams over the threshold with 1,000 storylines. These are some of them. In Atlanta, Julio Jones, merely a bystander. He was rehabbing from a minor foot procedure he had earlier this season, or the offseason rather. Meanwhile, he and the Falcons continue to work on a new deal, despite there being 2 years and nearly $21 million remaining on the current one. Jones believes a new deal is only a matter of time. He knows he's feeling good.
I'm just taking it slow. Little maintenance work, obviously, but just taking it slow for me. Not really trying to get in, jumping and get in the swing of things right now. I'm a veteran. I've been doing it for a while. I got my place where I work out at, and to get better and be where I need to be at when the season come around.
To Charlotte, Panthers quarterback Cam Newton threw publicly for the first time since he underwent shoulder surgery in January, the second procedure on his throwing shoulder in the last 3 years. Coaches and trainers are working with Newton to focus on his mechanics in an effort to take some of the pressure off the right shoulder and also improve efficiency. Here is the coach.
Well, I'd like to see him continue to stick with his throwing technique. The way he throws the ball, he throws a nice tight spiral when everything's the way it's supposed to be, and that's what he's working for. So we're like I said, we're just excited to see him continue to grow and develop. The shoulder started to go, then you saw everything kind of just fall to the wayside. Now there's an opportunity to go back, rework those things, do the things that he needs to do to improve, and he's done a great job, and we're really excited about it. And as I said, this is just the first step of many, and we really look forward to tomorrow to see how much more he's going to do.
Will shoulder surgery impact Cam's ability to push the ball downfield? Perhaps. Then again, maybe that's not even a question worth asking. In 18, with Norv Turner as the offensive coordinator, Newton threw for fewer air yards per attempt, but he also set a career high in completion percentage. Perhaps short and sweet is Cam's bread and butter. Kevin?
KO, a month after he missed the cut of Bethpage, Tiger Woods getting ready for the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. He set the tee off Thursday just after 5 p.m. Eastern, along with Justin Rose and Jordan Spieth. 19 years ago, as a 24-year-old at Pebble, Tiger won the U.S. Open by 15 strokes. 2 months after winning his 15th major, Tiger offering perspective on the chase to Jack's 18.
What's important to me is that I'm back playing again. This game was taken away from me for a few years there, and I miss competing, I miss playing, and now I have an opportunity to do that again, and also be able to share it with my kids. They don't remember me enjoying the game of golf because all they remember is daddy on the ground in pain. Now golf brings me so much joy, and they're able to see that.
This would be the coolest thing ever, to win 3 in a row and to win the third one at Pebble. I think that's really, it's such a special place, and to be as a little kid, you always wanted to play a U.S. Open at Pebble. I think that was, it's kind of a dream come true.
Koepka's the sports version of Kawhi. Last year, U.S. Open at Shinnecock was so difficult they had players calling conditions clown golf. Caesars installing Dustin Johnson as the 7-1 favorite, with Rory and